Alright, let's do a character breakdown. So today I'll be doing one of my own personal D&D characters. Now, normally I'd like to do one of your characters, but the idea to do mine and a specific scene came into my head this week, and it really made me passionate to do it, and I'm curious to know what you guys think. Just walking through the process of how I created the voice for this character. Quick disclaimer, the art you're about to see is AI generated. There's a lot of strong opinions on AI, so let me just talk about mine really briefly. I use AI to make the art for my D&D games. Characters, NPCs, locations, all kinds of stuff. It really helps to immerse both my players and me into the game more. I personally can't picture things in my head. It's called aphantasia if you're curious. All I see is blackness. And so using AI really helps me kind of get a better idea of what I think these characters look like. I've always had the statement that if I'm getting paid for it, I don't want to use AI. And so I've lived pretty strongly on that. I would rather pay an artist to do it if I'm getting paid money off of it. So I'm currently not big enough to make money off of these videos or anything like that, but even if I was, I plan on demonetizing these videos until I can get it commissioned and replaced. I already reached out to some people and they said they couldn't do it until January, so I really just wanted to do this while the idea was still fresh in my head and the passion was there for it. So I'm going to go ahead and do it, but I'm actively seeking someone to draw it so I can replace it. And the same thing for all my D&D characters, because I want to do these for all my D&D characters. So let's get into it. So this is Tyrion. He is an orc. He's an old man. You can see he looks very intimidating. He looks very battle-scarred. He's been through some shit. The idea for him was this old, grizzled ex-mercenary, ex-soldier who now joins this party of young adventurers and is having to kind of slot himself in there as a mentor figure and all that. I personally know a lot of veterans, and most of them are very big personalities, outspoken, very loud. I wanted to take a different approach to them. I wanted to be quiet and professional and intense when he needs to be, but also emotional and soft and kind-hearted when the time arrives for that. So he's very much a complex character, and he's been through a lot of stuff and wants to make sure that if he can prevent other people from going through that stuff, but if he can't, help them through it. And so when you look at him, you can see these scars and this eye patch and this intensity to him, and you can see he's been through some stuff. And so he has a pretty gravelly voice. So we'll start with texture. He has this gravelly voice. He's seen some shit, and so my voice has its own natural gravel, and so half of my characters also have a gravel. It just is easier to do something I'm used to doing for 3 hours at a time for 3 years, But he has a gravelly voice, I think, so he kind of stays here, and he's probably going to have a little bit more gravel, a more forced gravel. So that's texture. So next we'll move into pitch. Pitch, deep voice. I have a deep voice myself. I have a pretty long range. I think this is I can't go too much more deeper than this, but I can go pretty high. So my range is pretty large, but I would say he's down on the lower and he's deep voice. So that's texture, pitch, location. Location, very throaty voice, I think. Someone is kind of just talking from here all the time. Just almost like a clenched, So his voice is going to come from here. Those three things, you can make a lot of character voices with just those three things. But additionally, let's add an accent to it. I personally grew up in the South, born and raised, but I don't really have a Southern accent. It, sneaks through on words every now and then, but for the most part, I have a pretty flat tone, or flat accent, neutral. But I kind of wanted to give him a more noticeable Southern accent to my normal voice. I wanted him to have this Southern twang to him. He's not talking like this all the time and telling you what to do and all that, but he's got a nice little subtle one. And so this is kind of what I imagine for this character, is this gravel, this throaty gravel voice, this deep throaty gravelly voice with a Southern accent. I wanted to be quiet, It's pretty similar to how Valen was quiet in the first character breakdown, but different, in a different way. And so kind of combining all three of those things is you get a voice like this, where he's just seen some shit and he's just an old man trying to make his way through the world. And that's kind of his voice. That's Tyrion. This is what he sounds like. So the scene that I had in mind, I really wanted to explore the more like emotional side and the more mentor side of him. And so I imagine he's just been like, the party's probably settled down in this town for a little while, and it's kind of like their home base. And he's taken a liking to this kid who wants to be big and strong like the party, and so he's been training him and mentoring him, and sees a lot of potential in him, sees a lot of himself in him, and he's really kind of taken on this sort of like secondary fatherly figure to him. And I imagine like maybe there's this one time where the party was out doing something and they came back to see a dragon had attacked the village and just decimated it. And I can imagine Tyrion running straight to this kid's house and seeing this kid holding his dead parents, just wailing in agony. And I can just picture him stepping around the corner and seeing this and just taking a second. And just tears welling up in his eyes as he sees someone who's really grown to care about just in immense pain. And he just walks up to the kid and says, "I'm sorry, kid. I'm sorry we weren't here in time. I know that you probably think that your world is ending. Nothing else matters anymore. And that this pain is never gonna go away. And the last thing you want to hear is some old man telling you everything's gonna be okay. I'm not gonna tell you that. It's not gonna be okay. That pain you feel is never gonna go away. But the world isn't gonna end. And if you can't learn to live with that pain, you're gonna lose all memories, all of them, all the good ones, and even some of the bad ones that you have of your parents. And that's no way to honor their legacy. So I'm sorry you're going through this. And I know it feels like you're all alone and nobody could possibly understand how painful this is for you. But I just want you to know that I understand. And I also want you to know that we're gonna go kill that fucking dragon. And we're gonna bring its head back to this village. And we will rebuild. That is how you honor their legacy. That is how you remember them. That is how you move on. I'm sorry. That's the scene. That's Tyrion. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was nice to revisit that character. I didn't really get to play him that much, but that's D&D. You don't always get to play those characters that you spend hours thinking of, and that's okay. If you have a character you would like me to voice, please reach out. I would love to do it. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.